Welcome to Audio Story Quest, the perfect destination for heartwarming tales of romance and adventure. Join us as we explore the depths of emotions in our short stories. Subscribe now for a daily dose of love, adventure and storytelling magic.
Exposing Betrayal, a shocking story of marital deceit. Once upon a time in the quaint town of Willowbrook, Mark and Sarah's love story was the envy of all. They were inseparable, sharing dreams and secrets under the moonlight. But behind closed doors, an insidious betrayal had taken root. Mark was a hardworking architect, dedicated to providing a comfortable life for his family. Mark and Sarah had 2 children, a son named Ethan and a daughter named Lily. Their children were a source of joy and grounding in their lives, and their well-being was a central concern for both parents, even during the tumultuous period of their marriage. Ethan, the older of the 2, was a bright and curious boy with a mop of unruly brown hair. He had his father's penchant for asking questions about the world around him and a deep love for books. Ethan was known for his kindness and sensitivity, often comforting his younger sister when she needed it most. He was also an avid soccer player and spent many weekends playing with his friends at the local park. Lily, the younger sibling, was a bubbly and imaginative girl with twinkling blue eyes and a contagious laugh. She had a vivid imagination and loved creating elaborate stories for her stuffed animals. Lily adored spending time with her mother, learning to bake and enjoying art projects together. She had an affinity for animals and dreamed of becoming a veterinarian one day. Sarah was a loving wife, or so he believed until he stumbled upon a series of incriminating messages one fateful evening. The text spoke of secret rendezvous and whispered promises that shattered Mark's world. Sarah and her lover spoke of stolen moments filled with fiery passion. Their messages described passionate kisses that left them breathless, secret rendezvous in dimly lit corners of the town, and whispered promises of ecstasy that were stark contrasts to the vows she had taken with Mark. The messages conveyed a yearning for escape from the mundane routine of everyday life. Sarah's lover promised her an escape into a world where responsibilities and consequences didn't exist, a world where their love could flourish without restraint. Perhaps the most damaging promises were those of secrecy. They vowed to protect their affair at all costs, using coded language and clandestine meeting places to ensure that Mark remained oblivious to their betrayal. These promises were like a cruel symphony of deceit, played out through text messages. When Mark discovered these messages, each promise became a painful reminder of the betrayal that had unfolded right under his nose. The promises between Sarah and her illicit lover were like poisoned arrows, each one striking at the heart of Mark's trust and the foundation of their marriage. Betrayal washed over him like a tidal wave, drowning his trust and love. As Mark grappled with the painful realization of his wife's betrayal, a maelstrom of emotions churned within him when he hesitated to confront her. These emotions were a tumultuous mix of fear, anger, sadness, and uncertainty. Initially, when Mark stumbled upon the incriminating messages, shock was the dominant emotion. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, and for a brief moment, it felt like a surreal nightmare. His heart raced, and his mind struggled to process the betrayal. Alongside shock came a powerful sense of denial. Mark desperately wanted to believe that there must be some misunderstanding, that his loving wife couldn't possibly have been unfaithful. He questioned the authenticity of the messages, hoping that they were some sort of cruel prank. Fear gripped Mark as he contemplated confronting Sarah. He feared the devastating impact that this revelation could have on their marriage and family. The fear of the unknown, of what might come next, made him hesitate, as he was aware that their lives were on the precipice of a dramatic change. Beneath the initial shock and fear simmered a growing anger. Mark's anger was directed not only at Sarah but also at himself for not seeing the signs earlier. He was furious at the thought of someone else sharing intimate moments with the woman he loved. Amid the storm of emotions, profound sadness settled in. Mark felt a deep sorrow, not just for the betrayal itself but for the potential loss of the life they had built together, the dreams they had shared, and the trust that had been shattered. Uncertainty about the future weighed heavily on Mark's mind. He didn't know what would happen next, whether their marriage could survive this betrayal, or how he would navigate the complex emotions that lay ahead. In that moment of hesitation, Mark was at a crossroads, torn between confronting the woman he loved and preserving the illusion of their perfect life. It was a pivotal moment that would determine the course of their relationship, and the emotions he felt were a turbulent reflection of the storm that had erupted within him. For weeks, Mark struggled to confront Sarah, battling the sinking feeling that their fairy tale had crumbled to ashes. Mark eventually summoned the courage to confront Sarah about her betrayal. A different set of emotions washed over him, giving him the strength to face this painful truth. Mark's foremost emotion was a profound determination. He had reached a point where he couldn't continue living in the shadows of doubt and deception. He was determined to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be, and to confront the woman he loved with the evidence he had found. Beneath the anger and hurt, Mark's love for Sarah remained resolute. It was this love that gave him the resolve to face her, to give their relationship a chance, and to find out if there was any hope for reconciliation. Mark's courage was rooted in his desire for honesty. He recognized that for any chance of healing, they needed to confront the issues in their marriage openly. He was determined to have an honest conversation, even if it meant exposing his own vulnerabilities and pain. As he made the decision to confront Sarah, Mark felt a sense of empowerment. He was taking control of a situation that had left him feeling helpless and betrayed. Confronting her was a step towards regaining his sense of agency in his own life. Mark knew that confronting Sarah would make him vulnerable. He would be opening himself up to more pain and uncertainty. However, he was willing to embrace this vulnerability in the hopes of finding a path toward healing and, perhaps, forgiveness. Amid the emotional turmoil, Mark sought clarity. He wanted to know the full extent of what had transpired, to understand why Sarah had betrayed him, and to determine whether their relationship could ever be rebuilt on a foundation of trust. Finally, one crisp autumn morning, he summoned the courage to confront her. The air was heavy with tension as they sat in the dimly lit living room. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she confessed her affair. She explained how loneliness and dissatisfaction had driven her to seek solace in another man's arms. Sarah's guilt over her affair weighed heavily on her when it came to her children. She knew that her actions could have a lasting impact on their lives, and this added to her sense of isolation. She feared that her betrayal might affect her ability to be the loving mother she wanted to be. As time passed, Mark discovered that Sarah was genuinely remorseful and committed to rebuilding their relationship. Sarah's remorsefulness and commitment to making things work with Mark were profound, and they were driven by a tumultuous mix of emotions that stirred within her heart. Sarah's remorse ran deep, like a river of regret that flowed through her soul. She felt a profound sense of guilt for her betrayal, not just because of the pain she had caused Mark, but also because she had jeopardized the sanctity of their family. Her remorse was often accompanied by tears, as she grappled with the magnitude of her actions. She agonized over the choices she had made, knowing that they had led her down a treacherous path. She wished she could turn back time and undo the affair that had threatened to tear her family apart. Her regret was a heavy burden that she carried every day. Beneath her remorse lay a fervent desire for redemption. She yearned to make amends, to prove to Mark that she was willing to do whatever it took to rebuild their trust and their marriage. Her longing for redemption was a driving force behind her commitment to change. Sarah's remorse was accompanied by a deep fear of losing the man she loved. She couldn't bear the thought of a life without Mark and their children. This fear fueled her determination to salvage their relationship. Sarah's commitment to making things work with Mark was unwavering. She understood that words alone wouldn't suffice. She needed to demonstrate her commitment through actions. She was willing to be patient, to attend therapy, and to engage in difficult conversations to rebuild what had been broken. In her efforts to mend their marriage, Sarah embraced vulnerability. She bared her soul to Mark, sharing her deepest regrets and fears. This vulnerability was both a testament to her commitment and a way to bridge the emotional chasm that had developed between them. Mark's heart ached, but he realized that bitterness and revenge wouldn't heal their wounds. He decided to seek therapy, both individually and as a couple, to understand the root causes of their problems. The therapy sessions were a roller coaster of emotions, with anger, pain, and forgiveness all taking their turns in the spotlight. Sarah's confessed to feelings of loneliness and disconnection were like a heavy cloud that hung over her, casting a shadow on her life and her marriage. These emotions were complex and carried a profound sense of sadness, guilt, and longing. Sarah's loneliness was a persistent ache that gnawed at her heart. She felt isolated within the confines of her marriage, as though there were an emotional chasm. Sarah's feelings of loneliness were further accentuated by the presence of her children, Ethan and Lily. While she loved them deeply and cherished their moments together, her loneliness manifested in complex ways concerning her role as a mother. Sarah experienced a mix of emotions when it came to her children. On one hand, they provided moments of joy, love, and fulfillment. Their laughter and hugs were a temporary balm for her loneliness. On the other hand, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt for not being fully present with them due to her inner turmoil. Being a mother brought a sense of responsibility that often isolated her further. The demands of parenting, from school runs to bedtime stories, left her feeling overwhelmed and drained. Her loneliness was compounded by the relentless routines of motherhood, which sometimes felt isolating. Sarah longed for a deeper emotional connection with her children. She wanted to be the best mother she could be, but her emotional distance from Mark spilled over into her relationship with Ethan and Lily. She yearned to be more present for them, to truly engage in their lives. Sarah went to great lengths to shield her children from the turmoil in her marriage. She wore a mask of strength and normalcy when she was with them, concealing her inner loneliness and despair. This effort to protect her children from her own struggles added to her emotional burden. At times, Sarah found temporary solace in motherhood, using it as a means of escaping her troubled marriage. She threw herself into activities with Ethan and Lily, hoping to distract herself from the emotional void she felt when Mark was distant. Despite the turmoil in their parents' relationship, Ethan and Lily were resilient children who coped with the challenges in their own ways. Their parents' efforts to shield them from the worst of the marital strife and their commitment to providing a stable and loving environment were a testament to their dedication as parents. Sarah's journey to heal her relationship with Mark was marked by the intensity of her remorse and the strength of her commitment to make amends. Her emotions were a complex tapestry of regret, love, fear, and hope. It was a journey that required time, patience, and a profound willingness to confront the pain she had caused and rebuild their love from the ground up. It wasn't an easy journey, but their shared history, love for their children, and newfound determination kept them moving forward. They made a pact to communicate openly and honestly, laying their vulnerabilities bare. Slowly, trust began to rekindle like a smoldering ember. They recommitted to their love and took the time to rediscover each other. Mark learned to let go of his anger, and Sarah made sincere efforts to make amends. Their journey was far from linear, filled with moments of doubt and insecurity, but they persisted. One day, as they strolled hand in hand through a nearby park, Mark realized something extraordinary. Their relationship had transformed into something deeper and more resilient than it had ever been before. Their bond was forged not just by love but also by the trials they had endured and overcome together. As Mark and Sarah worked on repairing their relationship, they recognized that their children's happiness and well-being were paramount. Ethan and Lily served as a motivating force, a reminder of the love and family they had built together, and a reason to strive for reconciliation and a brighter future. The tale of Mark and Sarah serves as a testament to the strength of love when faced with betrayal. They emerged from the darkness of betrayal, their love rekindled, their connection fortified, and their hearts, scarred but mended, ready to face the future together.
And this concludes our story. But before we end, remember that every story is just a snapshot in time. Life is full of twists and turns, and the journey continues. Thanks for joining us.